Another edition of Riding Home. Get yourself ready, Dean Legge, Ryan Curley, for another edition on the way back to Ryan's house, like so many rides before. Ryan, tonight, some talk from the quarterbacks. Let's just get straight into it.
What a treat, man. But two quarterbacks one night. I think the first reaction, completely different demeanors from the two guys, right? Carson, real locked in, just like looking forward, just getting to the answers. Brock, I mean, turns to talk to you. Like he physically turns the body a little bit more personable. That's just, off the rip, just kind of the way they talked. But I mean, you know how it was going to go. A lot of
nothing
cheek answers. Yeah. Not. But I think the general consensus is with these quarterbacks, hey, both of these quarterbacks could have transferred by now, right?
Yeah,
they both seem to really like the competition. And I think it was Brock that said this, but, when I could have transferred, but I was getting better here every day. Why would I leave when I'm getting better?
Yeah, let me riff real quick on this, because that's actually a very important point I want to say about what's going on at quarterback at Georgia. Now, I mean, straight up, we'll see if that remains to be true without Todd Monken there. But that has been the case, and that's why Carson Beck didn't transfer, and Brock said the same exact thing today. So, a quick anecdote: in 2019, on the sideline for I can't remember what game it was, but it was the one where Stetson threw a pick six. And it was third or fourth quarter. It was what's that? 2019. Yeah, it's 2019, which is kind of going to get to my point here, which is, they're all over these guys. So Stetson threw a pick six in 2019, a game that Georgia was way up on. Drake Fromm was the quarterback. I think it was the week before Notre Dame. No, it was 2 weeks before Notre Dame. And I will not say what Kirby said, because certain things that are on the sideline shouldn't be repeated, that he's coaching right there. But Stetson was being coached, and there was no indication that Stetson Bennett would ever be, the quarterback at Georgia in 2019. I mean, they had recruited him to come back. I mean, it just wasn't happening. And he was getting coached hard at that moment by the head coach. I mean, the head coach came over there late in a game that didn't matter and was all over him. And they watched the replay together on the big screen, and what Kirby said to him about being late was accurate. It was the Murray State game, for the record, so it was the first home game of the year that year. And Stetson was late on the ball. Now, I say all that to say this: that Georgia has been about development, man. I mean, that's really what it's about. And these two guys are going to have to fight their way onto the field. No one is going to give either of these guys a starting job. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, it's look, I don't know what the distance is between them. As far as is Beck really that close? Is the competition a lot closer than we think? I think this crew kind of think that Carson has a healthy step on him, but
we think so. I'll give our view of the world, which is that coming into the spring, that it was clearly that Beck was in the lead. How far he was in the lead, well, we don't know that. We're not coaches on the staff. We talk with people, but the people that we talked to felt like Beck had the lead. How much of a lead is not something they discuss with us. So, and what we also don't know, Ryan, more than halfway through spring ball at this stage, is what's happened in that period of time between. I mean, there are only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 practices of spring left. We are 2/3 of the way through it. So there are 5 practices left, 2 of which are scrimmages. So your development time is not, you don't have as much left. So that tells me that if Vandergriff is trying to catch Beck and pass him, and he hasn't, if he has not, I don't know. If he has not gotten closer, it's going to be hard to pass. But we don't know what we don't know. I mean, I'm not sitting here acting like I know everything, because I don't. Go ahead.
No, I don't know either. Something that Vandergriff wanted to make sure tonight was he doesn't see himself, or maybe it was more for himself. He was like, I don't see myself as a dual threat quarterback. I've always had that label, but I'm I'm a guy that can make plays in the pocket and outside the pocket, which is
Well, he's a
the
dual threat.
definition of a
He's
dual
a
threat
dual.
quarterback.
He's a dual threat quarterback by any definition. So is Patrick Mahomes in my book, for the record, and he's the best quarterback
It
in
might be
football.
a triple threat quarterback, man. I don't know.
You're talking about him dancing on air. I mean,
Yeah, right.
I mean, look, if you could take what Brock Vandagriff does and make it like, I don't know about perfect, but as close to perfect as possible, he'd be your quarterback. I mean, that's just all there is to it from my
He'd be
perspective.
he'd be a Heisman candidate.
Well, he would arguably be
Which
the
I think
best.
whoever the starter is a Heisman candidate. But
There's no denying Brock. Let me just say this true. Brock should not be sensitive is the wrong word, but what
he wasn't sensitive about it. But
I know. I'm trying to
yeah,
find a better way of saying it. His strength is
feel
his.
as if he's being stereotyped.
Well, this is what we do. I can't, we can't help this, man. I mean, like, it's what it is. People look at
As
me.
talent, hey man, as talent evaluators, right? Don't we have to?
Wow. I wouldn't call myself that, but what? That's not what I do. But we're all stereotyped in some way. It doesn't make it right. But Brock Vandagriff is Brock Vandagriff is one of the most gifted athletes at Georgia. Period. I mean, any sport. So again, if we're running hurdles, he's my guy, including a lot of the guys that run on track. Okay, but can he play quarterback? Can Carson Beck play quarterback? We don't know the answer to those questions. Kirby and company have a much better feel for this than we do because they've watched at this point about 200 hours of practices. No, excuse me, 20 hours of practices. Well, they've probably watched 200 of the two of them combined, sure. But this spring, there's been about 20-ish hours of practices. That's a long time to watch these guys, and they probably have a pretty good idea of where they're going. That they're not going to say anything to us is whatever. It's just what it is, Ryan. It's just that's nothing new. What was the most interesting thing? What was the most interesting thing said tonight that you heard?
I thought I asked Carson about what is that like having to wait when you were a state champion quarterback and all that, and then you're not that guy anymore.
Right.
And I thought he was extremely honest and was just like, it's difficult. He said it's hard, and I think any of us would tell you it's hard to wait your turn and to not be the starter.
I love
That's
honesty
something they
from
have
a
to deal with
quarterback.
up here.
Yeah, I
What?
mean, I love honesty from people, generally speaking, but from quarterbacks. I mean, he can. Stetson was honest too. A lot of times he wouldn't answer questions, which is his prerogative. But there's no reason to head fake us. I mean, there's nothing about the last few years for Carson Beck has probably been easy. But
Yeah.
is he getting better or not? That's the question. And if you're getting better, why would you leave? I mean, like Devontae Wyatt comes to mind. I mean, Devontae didn't play. What about Channing Tindall? Or there's
Yeah.
been a
Right.
lot. There's a lot of people that have played at Georgia who have not been stars that have gone on to be first round draft picks. Could that be the case? In a 1 year
Yeah.
scenario with Carson Beck, Anthony Richardson is going to be a first round draft pick. Will Levis is going to be a first round draft pick, which is
Yeah.
amazing in a way. But when you see his talent is hard to deny. But that said, Richardson had 1 year starting at Florida, and it was a losing season, Ryan.
Yeah. It was. Don't get me started.
I'm just
But
saying.
yeah, no, I just the draft stuff. But like, I something I thought was interesting, and this is something that is not like a new thought to us. But what's another reason why they don't transfer? Well, they're going up against the best players every day. Their
Well,
best opportunity to get better is at practices at Georgia. That's the way that these guys are looking at it. Both of them made a comment about how this, you're going up against some of the best guys in the country every single day. Like you just won't get that
sure.
at other places.
Well, look, if you were Spencer Rattler and they had moved on from you at Oklahoma, it made plenty of sense to
Yeah,
transfer.
yeah.
No, these guys have not been moved on from. That's just not the only quarterback. There have been two quarterbacks at Georgia, really three, I guess, in the time that Kirby's been there that have been moved on from. Jacob Eason, Dwan Mathis, and JT Daniels. And,
And
those,
Stetson kind of
and
in and out.
Stetson in a way. But no, I mean, Justin Fields was never moved on from. He just decided to leave, and that was up to him. That's his prerogative. Brock Vandergriff has not been moved on from. Same thing with Carson. Same thing with Gunnar Stockton. These guys are good. What I want to see is what happens in 2 Saturdays. I mean, I think I'm not trying to hype it up. I'm not trying to make it more than it is. It's an important G-Day. We don't always get those. A season ago, there was not important. This one, I
No.
think it is.
Yeah, totally. It's people. The conversation is going to be so built on what happens that day, when maybe it should or shouldn't.
Right.
It's not just that scrimmage. It's the handful of scrimmages they have here.
Correct.
It's the practices, the meetings. Oh man, these graduation photos.
Love it, man. At the Arch or where?
No, I
Just
just passed.
wherever.
I passed them by the stadium.
But by
I'm
the
just
stadium. Would you do graduation at the stadium? You've been to that stadium as much as anybody that doesn't play football. Would you do graduation pictures at the stadium? I'm just asking.
so I
It's your
haven't gotten them
graduation
done.
pictures.
I haven't gotten them done.
They should.
I need to schedule that with someone, I guess. I'm not working on it, man.
Do you know anybody with cameras?
I'd take the picture myself if I could. Maybe
I'm
I'll
tr-
just take a bunch of selfies
I'm
at
trying to
all
think.
the popular sites to get the photos at.
I'm trying to think of the best place for Ryan Curley to do his graduation pictures. That's not the back seat of a riding home segment, to be honest with you. That's what most people know you from. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, right. Most people know me from this.
And the thing,
Uh,
let me just say this real quick too. And most people only know Beck and Vandergriff from
Football.
throwing a
Yeah.
football. They don't know them in any way. So, um, I, I have to tell you, I think both of them can lead Georgia to the national championship in 2023 and 24. I think that the quarterback in 24 is going to have a little bit more of an uphill climb, whoever that starter is, because you open off the bat with Clemson, you have a different SEC, you have a further playoff, run, but either of them, either of the two of them can guide Georgia to the national championship this coming fall. This program, excuse me, is too good to, they're just too good that, and these guys are too good. I mean, again, you and I have seen Brock play how many times live?
Handful for me. I
Yeah,
mean,
I've probably seen him play 6 times live, whatever it was. I saw him once or twice before you came around. This guy, I'm telling you, he's an exceptional athlete. But it goes back to, for him and Carson both, for Brock and Carson, can they play quarterback? Can you play quarterback in this league? When you throw a pick six, does it bother you so much that you can't function the rest of the game? Does pressure in your face bother you?
yeah, that was talked about too. Just the concept of flushing away a play, the play, next
It's
play.
hard to
That's
do.
something that I feel like we talk to DBs a lot with. I feel like we talk about that with them a lot.
Right.
Same thing with the quarterback, right? You throw a bad incompletion. They both talked about how you just have to flush it. Like you can't.
It's
You just can't
easier
be thinking
said.
about Yeah, it is easy.
I've never been a quarterback in the SEC. I've not, but I've played an individual sport in college. It's real easy to say, "Oh, forget it," when you just,
When you get aced on, Dean. When you
that
get
didn't
aced.
happen. It would
That.
be
Oh, okay.
that was not as common because of the guys we played were not that style. We would like to ace them. It never happened, which is very frustrating. But uh, not being patient with yourself when you're playing sports and allowing yourself to, like, it's okay to make mistakes. It's not okay to let the mistake bother you. And that can happen. And I really have to say this real quick. I watched the reaction from Georgia's football players that went to the tennis match against Kentucky.
That was fun to watch, man. I mean, I
Were you
didn't go,
there?
but no, I
Well,
forgot about it.
I'm going to the match against Mississippi State. because if
One,
you want to
one's
watch high level, intense competition, you go to a Georgia tennis match. That is some serious stuff. And those DBs and quarterbacks specifically, I would say, but all tackles as well. You got to learn to let the play go. Sometimes your opponent does something that is so good, you're like, okay, hey man, that's awesome, good for you. We're gonna play the next play. Easier said than done, though, if you're the quarter. I mean, that's part of growing up, and I think that's one thing that Carson. That's where Carson being older perhaps helps him more. Perhaps I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I guess you get this just from playing collegiate sport, but I feel like it's got to be kind of a weird thing. I don't know how close Carson and Brock are as
Oh, it's
friends. That's
super
I
weird.
was
What are you
asking him
talking
about that.
about?
I asked Brock that. I was like,
Yeah,
I don't know how close you guys are, but what's that like when
strange.
you guys are fighting for one job, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's your brother you're fighting against every day, and healthy competition was the word he just kept repeating to me. But the
We
friend,
we we had basketball and tennis. So you've got a sport with about 15 to 17 guys in basketball and a sport with about 10 in tennis. Tennis is more personal because you're literally playing the person, and that can be your roommate. Basketball, I was there for many literal fistfights. That many is probably a stretch. But when guys are about to lose their position, or they didn't like what happened, or getting dunked on, or someone should have called a foul and they didn't, um, you know, stuff gets really personal quick. With those two guys, they've been fighting each other for a couple years now. And I don't know if they like each other or not. I don't know if they are roommates or buddies or anything, but they know each other for sure. And the truth is that Carson and Brock should be trying to be the best versions of themselves and not worry about the other one in any way. Okay, we don't know who the starting quarterback's going to be for the first game, because we don't know what's going to happen between now and then in terms of, all that stuff, as well as injury. But pushing the other person is really good. But it is weird, man. I mean, it's weird. I mean, I had a friend of mine passed away. He beat me once. I never heard the end of it because I would whip his ass all the time. And he beat me one time when I did not have a good day. And I literally never heard it. He said something to his wife about it one time when we were 40. So these are things that never end. And it doesn't matter how many times I beat him. It's just that he beat me that one time. So
that one,
that one
you know,
time.
you know what? Actually, the funniest thing from tonight. Well, there were actually a few funny moments, but the thing that actually made me laugh a little bit was someone was asking Brock about how he put on a little bit of weight, and he was like, "How what did you do?" And he said, "Well, it's easy when you live with Bowers and Chaz Chambliss." He said, "Now I eat a fourth meal. I didn't used to
Right.
eat a fourth meal."
Right. Right. Well,
So
and I mean the truth is too, this is not true for you, but when you go through college
no, we're
from
watching our figure around here, Dean.
well, same, a little bit. I'm not trying to go for that extra brownie like somebody who's the
One
head coach.
one one Diet Coke at a time.
Yeah, I'm not trying to go for that extra brownie like somebody who's the head coach at Georgia, but that person will
I'm
remain.
going for the extra brownie, bro.
Man, I'm telling you right now, I can out eat Kirby
Extra
Smart. I
brownie,
listen, hold
Arizona
on.
State versus Oregon State. It's like 11:30.
I can out eat Kirby Smart. Now I need a little bit of time because I don't eat like that like I used to. Okay, but I can out eat him. Now we're talking steaks and so forth. I don't know about carbs, and he can maybe out brownie me, but I can out eat him in particular matters. I can tell you that right now because he used to be a smaller person. Wait, he used to be a smaller person. I have always been this big. Okay, and it only it's not by eating air. So I'm telling you right now, I can eat. Now some other people can eat around here too, but the other thing I was going to say real quick was, you know, and this
Are
is
you
not
talking about me?
this
Like,
was not the case. By the way, this was not the case for Kirby back in the day. But most of the time, when you're 18 to 22, you just naturally gain weight. I mean, I don't recall him doing that because he was a smaller guy. Corey Robinson, Larry, man, those DBs, they didn't gain weight. It didn't seem like, but big people, we always do. But Brock just probably naturally is gaining weight too. Now the fourth meal, which I was accused,
Fourth meal, man, that's
my
a lot.
Jerry Josie accused me of. He said there's now a Dean Leggy wing at Burger King in town.
Wow,
Yeah, he went pretty hard on that deal.
that kind of sucks. I bet that sucked to
We
hear.
No, I didn't care because I wasn't overweight. I ran around plenty. You cannot eat like that after college. Period. You cannot eat like that. That's the one thing about a college athlete.
All
Now,
right,
not,
so 2 months. Oh, you're just talking about college athletics.
yeah.
I was going to say, what changes in a month and a half for me? Like,
here's
I'm
what
gonna eat.
here's what changed for me. Okay, after playing and then not playing, here's what changed for me. 30 pounds is what changed for me. You go from running all the time to not running at all and eating. You can't eat fourth meal, man. You can't eat fourth meal, but you could back in the day because you were just running around like a lunatic. You can't do that now. But anyway, I
I mean,
digress.
these guys will probably be having a fourth meal for a
Oh,
while.
Carson Beck could eat a few fourth meals. I mean, he is not a big person at all.
So I didn't think.
He's
I
slender.
I thought they were both slimmer than I. I don't
Yeah,
know, man.
they are small people. Well, small people is the wrong way to put it. They are Georgia. Any SEC athlete, nevertheless, football guys, they are in peak condition, man. I mean, there's nothing heavy about any of these guys. They are. They should have as many pictures taken of them as they can right now because it ain't gonna get better. It's not gonna get better. I mean, you're
Gotta get my
running, man.
senior
You're
picture
right.
done,
I
man.
can't speak to football. I don't know, but in basketball, you are running literally nonstop. In tennis, you are literally running nonstop. Combining those two things, it's no wonder that I gained 30 pounds in like 3 months. Ryan, I was going hard in the paint too, man. Eating everything. That's what I'm saying. I can out eat Kirby. I'm just gonna let you know that right now. I can out eat him. Maybe not in brownies, but other stuff, yes.
Post Natty Kirby versus grad school Dean.
Dad school. We'll set it up at Red Zone. We'll set it up at Red Zone. You like how now I can just point there and
There's your
uh,
little. Hey Kirby, you want an NIL deal? You want a cut of this?
hey man. Hey, when we did that, hey Keely, listen, man, Keely's fourth meal that night was that brownie from Insomnia. Or was it brownie? He had water.
Cookies,
He had cookies, plural.
dude.
He had
I
water
went.
though.
I I walked myself over to that Target, got him protein bars, and he brought
He,
cookies.
man, because he gets it. Keely Ringo understands life, okay? I'd be eating cookie. I'm gonna go eat a cookie in a minute here. 2 Oreos, stuffed to double stuff. You got to take one of them off. You got to take, and then you. Now I don't know if that's a triple or a quadruple stuff. I'm telling you, man, I'm coming for y'all.
Ugh,
I
I don't
can't
know.
out eat
I
Mike
think
Bobo though. I know that. Now I've had a meal with Mike. He can eat.
yeah.
I think I
That's something I didn't actually. I thought Bobo wasn't talked about a lot tonight compared to what I thought it was going to be.
yeah, Mike.
Um,
But Mike's been around for such a long
yeah.
time up there.
I mean, they both just said the usual stuff. Oh, it's been great.
We're gonna see. I
I'm,
mean, they can't both feel perfect about where they're at. But I will leave you with this. I do think people know kind of where they're at. I mean, it's hard to go through that many practices and not know. And if it's
I
tight
think it'd be hard for it to change a lot over the next 2 weeks.
over the next 2 weeks, I don't know. I mean, but I you don't think that this is getting solved before August, do you? I don't.
I think. I mean, I have my theories.
That might be for another
I mean,
video. Wait.
yeah. I
That
mean,
might be for another
I have
video.
my philosophy on the
Because
whole
I've got
thing.
hibachi in there that I have to go eat. I'm gonna
I
eat
gotta
all
go
of it
cook,
too.
man.
What do you got
I gotta
tonight?
take care of the dog
No
too.
DoorDash?
No, I gotta cook my chicken, man. Tomorrow.
Tomorrow DoorDash. We've got to find a spot for you for your graduation pictures. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the website.